Welcome back. So this next segment, we're going to be talking about subqueries. Some people can kind of consider it like a nested query. Essentially, we're going to write a query within another query. So when we do that, when we write subqueries, the subquery, the one that's inside of the main query, gets evaluated first, and so that's a really important distinction. So we're going to run this subquery, we're going to get a set of results, and then we're going to run another query, the outside query, or essentially the main query, and we're only going to run that query on the results that were returned from the subquery. So let's kind of look at this in action here. So I'll go and create a new query statement. And so for this one, I'll use the projects table. I'll grab, let's see, what's in there? I'll grab ID, start date, client ID, and project notes. That sounds good. Project ID. Project start date. Client ID. And project notes. And we're going to grab this from projects. And then we're going to write our where clause. And inside of our where clause is where we're going to have our subquery. So, in this kind of example, we can kind of think of the reason why we're doing this. Maybe something happened to our physical records, and we kind of maybe lost track of some projects, but we don't know the dates of the projects, but we know that it was all of the projects after a specific project. So let's say, project 23. We know that we lost all of the records that happened after project 23, but we don't know what they are or when those dates were. So we're gonna set up project start date, and then we're gonna look for all of the projects after the start date, and then from here is where we go into our subquery. And so our subquery is going to look just like any other query. We're going to have a select where from clause, and we're going to select project start date. And the reason why we're selecting project start date is because that is the field that we want to compare to our main or our outer query. So we're going to select that. We're going to select it from projects, and we're going to say where project ID equals 23. So again, we're trying to find all of the projects that have happened after project 23, right? So we know the dates here. So we're going to look for all of the projects that have happened after the date of project 23. So our first query is to get that date of project 23. And then our outer query, our main query, is to get all of the projects that happen after that date. So let's run this and take a look. Project start date. No, I think we just need one start. Project start date. Okay, good. All right, so the first subquery is we went and we found the date of project 23. You can see that right there, 11/12/2001. And then our outer query, our main query, was to return all of the projects that happened after that date. And so we can see all of those there. Whoops. So there's our subquery, creating a query within another query. So, a lot of times subqueries like this are used when we don't really know the information of, the subquery, or it's not easy to get. And so we can just create the subquery and retrieve it and then run our main query on the results of that subquery. And so that's how it's structured. And so again, it doesn't have to be structured where it's indented like this, but it just makes it easier to understand and cleaner and easier to see. So that's subqueries. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next time.